we can start now.
Sorry I was late. I'm
That's all
happy
right.
to be here. Okay.
You have great reasons, and we don't need to know them.
Yeah.
All right, we have a quorum. We have any owners that want to comment? I don't think so. Motion to adopt the agenda.
So move.
Second.
All right. Discussion items. Is 0.5A a little premature, or Mr. Hall, you might have some thoughts on that?
Well, I was asked by Lauren to, we have to pick because you no longer can be the chair.
I know, but we only have one more month before everybody's got to reapply, so that gets strange.
I know, but we do need a chair for that month until that decision is made. You are now
will
our
shut up
liaison. So your chair is now up. Even if it's just for the month, we need another representative to represent the chair.
Krista, can we bring you back from the dead?
No.
Yes,
John's
for
not
one meeting.
here. John's not here. I nominate John.
Krista, it's only for one meeting and then you're done. It's today. And then well, we could pass it tomorrow. I'm sorry, I can't say anything.
Oh, Breck's coming in. I nominate Breck.
I second that.
What am I being nominated for?
The chair
For chair.
for a month.
For a month?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Effectively.
For this meeting.
Pretty much. And any escalations during the month.
I think he thinks we're joking.
My other one was John. John's not here, so you can nominate him too.
Back, I could send them the email saying, hey, you have been officially nominated.
Well, then who will run the rest of the meeting?
Oh, true.
Our liaison.
Oh, yeah, I heard a nomination in a second for Breck. I don't know.
I think Breck has to accept it, doesn't he?
He just went silent.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure what to say.
Just Breck, if you could run this meeting, that'd be great, so I can shut up.
Sure. Okay. All
He
right.
accepted! Yay!
All
Breck,
right.
it
So
is
do we
officially your
have
meeting.
5 people here? 1, 2, 3,
We don't need
4.
5. We're on what are we on? We're on B now. New town
Yes,
hall
we're on.
technology. You get to skip all the formal parts. That's done already.
All right. So we're on item 4B. So new town hall technology, conference units and digital displays and etc. So what's this about?
So I've been asked by Lauren and Jacob, as we are now in the design aspects for the new town hall, we were asked what would you like to see at town hall in the sense of new technologies. I've spoken with the architect or the low voltage engineer and told them that we would like, new conferencing units and things like that. But I would like to get a steer from you guys on what kind and what would you like to see. So we don't have a complete finalized design view, but we do have conference rooms. So we wanted to find out what would you guys like to see. You have somewhat the same hallway and the same slightly bigger or slightly smaller main conference room for the town hall. So we're just trying to see what you guys would like to see, since thankfully the new dais is going to be a straight line, not a U anymore. So that would kind of help in how we would set up a conference room design. So what would you guys like to see? You want to see TV screens? You want to see overhead projectors with screens that come down from the sides of the wall so that residents can look from side to side or in front? I have no, I have no limitations at this point, but obviously money is a factor, so we can't do everything Disney can do, but at least we can voice some wishful things and we can see what we can get and what we
Do
would
we
like
have-
to put in there.
Do we have a schematic of we know what the room sizes are and what the because you said the dais has changed, so like for us to see that, I think that would help determine what we would want or need, and also the size of the room will make a difference and how it can be configured. So like right now there's that one room that can be 3 rooms or it can be 2. Like there's so what is that? Do we have a
Yeah,
schematic?
that has changed now. It's only could be 2 rooms.
So do we have something like a rough drawing or
A
something
rough
that we
drawing, yes. I'm gonna see if I can publicize that. Let me try to see if I can get an actual copy. I only have a rough sketch that I can look at. But I will ask to get that and I can forward to you. Let me see if I can get an answer while we're talking.
Because I think we'd also want to know like the size of the room, because that makes a difference for what type of screen you would want and audio capability. Because I assume you'll need to have some sort of microphone or situation in there as well.
Yeah, now we've asked the engineer to do that for us in the sense of making sure he puts out all the cabling work where they need to. He would
But how
give
does he
us-
know where it needs to go if we haven't decided what we want? Because like the needs are different if you have a projector versus a TV versus.
Right, and that's what we're looking for. So we're trying to get, do you care on how it's designed by the engineer, or do you want to have any input? I gave them the freedom to give us some choices to see what we can get for what we're allowed to spend in that budget, so that we can get our choices and see where we can go. And or we can go by, because I told them I'm not finalizing anything. I want to talk to the tech committee to see what they're looking for and what options we can go with. That they're looking to see what we can get, and then we can have them toss back at us. Here are your options. These are what's available in the budgetary range, and we can then try to pick what we want. The systems, the vendors, the different types of monitors. There are some TVs that we're going to reuse to save costs on that aspect. But if we do go with screens and projectors, those are pretty cheap compared to buying multiple new screens. So we're trying to reuse what we can on the sense of digital displays or TV screens, I should say, for certain meeting rooms. But for that unit, for those 2 big town hall areas, I thought we could try to go with something fancier.
Do we have a narrative on like what the rooms are supposed to be used for? Like, are we purely just, is this the use case we're solving purely just for the meetings and community meetings, or is there additional like event type requirements? Like what's the use? Like, I want to make sure we're solving for the appropriate
Yeah.
use cases.
So from one of the rooms that they're reusing, I don't know if you remember the town hall, the back room, the one that's all the way, that was like an additional building. That area is becoming like a studio kind of thing. So they're gonna have the kickboxing there, the dancing and whatever. That's going to be the multi-purpose for anything like a meeting or for any type of classes that they're doing for the town. The first 2 rooms that we used to split into 3. will now only split to two, and they're going to be multi-purpose, like for bingo. From my understanding, it's going to be bingo, town hall meetings, and the main room, the one big room that we're always used to, that one's pretty much staying the same, kind of like the same size, but slightly moved back a little from what I remember. And then you'll have the two entrances, the back and the front. The front will be for all the board committee members, and obviously that's how it was in the past, I guess, because I've never been there. And then you have the doors in the back for the residents to go in. And then the room, when it splits, it's going to be pretty small. It's like the room 103, I think it was. Yeah. That's the split. When you see that room 103, that's what it looks like. So you'll have, I think, room 102 and 101 is one, and then room 103 is the split off.
I may be behind the times a little bit, but are we recovering that building now?
Recovering?
Yeah,
Yes.
well, it just seems like it's been condemned or whatever, or empty for the longest time that I'm aware of. So maybe I've been living under a rock, but
Yeah,
Yeah,
were
they're
able to
remodeling.
save
So
the-
it's going to be repaired and gutted and remodeled. There's going to be a complete remodel and repurpose and well, better purposes for the rooms. I don't know if I have the ability to say anything yet. I think that's part of the master committee. But I will, as soon as I'm able to give you a copy of the drawing, then we can probably discuss more on those bits. But pretty much we're looking for wish lists. So I don't know. That's pretty much it at the moment. We're looking for wish lists on what you guys are looking for. What would you like to see in the new town hall? I guess we don't, at this point, we don't care where you want these things. We want to see what you guys want to see in the new town hall. Apart from my own, just my own vision. So I like to see other people's visions. So anything you might have, will be appreciated, and then we'll bring it to the master plan committee and have them add that into their thoughts on how that's going to look.
I don't feel like I have enough information to have a vision. At
Yeah, I'm
other
sorry.
than- To like, I mean, it needs to be what we had before reminded me of like C-SPAN. So it was pretty antiquated, and your online presence was not integrated at all. So however we best do that, but without knowing what we're looking at, I don't really know what to say for that, or how to even tell you what a good vision would be.
Okay, I understand, and I agree with that. Let me see if I can try to get this on screen, a screen copy of it.
And I feel like I've been the only one saying things. I don't know if others have.
I mean,
Different
it's kind of hard to say what I would want without, I guess, knowing exactly what rooms are available for what. I think maybe I'm just trying to think of like a corporate environment for like the board meetings, like how you could lay the meeting room out a little bit more to where the displays are maybe a little more centered with the rest of the people that are presenting. So maybe instead of having monitors off to the side, some kind of big monitor or two monitors or some kind of projection behind the primary where everyone's sitting.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean that was one of the comments I made. It's like, can we not do something a little bit more centralized? Okay, give me a second.
Yeah, then like I mean, the way that it was before, it was basically built off. I mean, the building was built in the 90s or early. So I mean, it really performed like a early 2000s conference room that we bolted on some technology to make it virtual because that's what we needed to do during COVID. That was the vibe of the room. So
Right.
how do we, with technology being one of our cornerstones, how do we make that how do we bring that conferencing into 2020?
I guess also ensuring that we keep the room multifunctional is
Exactly. Yeah, because that's the other thing. If you're going to rent it for event space, it's really annoying to have like a TV on the wall when you're trying to decorate for an event or something like that too. So 100% agree with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have gotten the okay. Just give me a second to pop it up for you.
Molly, you were going to say something?
I was just gonna echo that. I feel like the number one priority for me would be best practices for a room that has people in person and virtually. Because that seems to be almost all of the meetings these days is folks are virtual and in person. So looking to a consultant or an expert to figure out how do they setting up conference rooms in 2025 for both.
Yeah, and that's what I sent to the engineer himself. And I did say I would like to see what the committee would like to see in there, so that like what you want to see apart from his own vision. But obviously, like you said correctly, it's whatever today's practices are. And if we want different types of screens or something like that, we can get him to do I'm waiting for Adobe to stop loading so that I can swish the screen over so you can see more. There it is. All right, so I'm going to zoom it down a little bit, if it lets me. Yeah, so are you able to see the screen?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Correct, are you able to?
Yes. I
Okay.
can see that looks like the staff office.
Okay, then as soon as it's done thinking, I can try to swing over a little bit more to the open studio. So as you can see, the room that used to split into 3 now only splits into 2. There we go.
It looks like it says 1,600 square feet approximately and like 2,300 square feet.
Correct. All right. So here are the room. So when we spoke to them, we told them that the dais will be here, all across here. And
Well, and you're
with
just
your
talking
thought-
about for layout of like CROA meetings, right? It's still just tables. You're not building something. Are you?
No. It's
Okay.
just I think it's either better tables than before, but then once we're not using it for other, if we're using the room for other events, the tables will go against the wall, like I think it did in the past, so that the bingo night or whichever happens during that time period will go into this room. So there'll be things that'll move out of the way. But yeah, there won't be anything permanent. Other than maybe whatever is going to be conference room style. So if we're using roll-up screens, then nothing's really permanent and just goes right up into the ceiling and it's out of the way. The projector behind the board seems like a really good idea because there's windows there, and then we can block that off with the shade and then bring down the screen. That's a nice thought. Let's
Is there
see
a
what
projector or some kind of like mobile display that's like obviously pretty large?
Yeah, we're trying to do away from those mobile screens that we were putting around. That's pretty cumbersome with cables and everything. We're trying to save from that, but if we can't avoid it, we can't avoid it. But we were looking at possibly TVs with arms that will come out so that they can come out towards the residents and they could see it side by side, and not have to look directly at an angle. That might help, as well. But the projector,
How would that work with if you had an event? So like I'm thinking like, you know, the foundation would have their holiday event there. So then you're having to cover up or figure out what to do with all these TVs on arms. I just want to make sure we're thinking.
well,
that
they'll push
through.
back against the wall. According to the engineer, you could push them back into the wall. The wall will cover it in the sense it'll just be up against the wall as a regular wall mount. You won't see it. It's not those big. It's not going to be a big arm when you're talking about a.
Yeah, but it's
2-foot
still
arm.
just a TV on the wall. So if you're having an event or you're say you've done if you do a wedding there, I mean you still got a random TV on the wall that you're
Yeah.
with. So as we
Just have
think
to
about
get
that
those-
as an rentable,
Those
as a
medium
rentable
Samsung
space.
frames.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Just want to
Okay.
make sure we keep the thought, because it is a rentable space, so we do want to make sure we keep that in mind too. Sure, we've got board meetings, but it is also a potential revenue stream from and an amenity in that we have a rentable large room for residents.
Yeah, I will check with them on the fact, like you said, weddings and things like that. Will that be an aspect as well, or will that go to the back room? The back room there, but there's no real windows, I don't think so. Totally enclosed. It doesn't feel comfortable for a wedding, but other events possibly. I will check with that, see what they have, but I will also talk about those TVs being an eyesore for other types of events.
Yeah, the TVs being an eyesore for me is like a vote for screens that come up into the ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It does make sense. I did say that as well to them. They will give us all types of options. I will write that in the documentation I'm filling out for them as well to make sure that they do give us those types of options. So,
I'm trying to find the room.
In addition to the screens, I guess, what's the technology now with projectors? Can those be recessed and obviously deployable?
they
up
come
and
so
down?
small now. Yeah, we can probably make it recessed in one of those boards that they do. They just have it just sticking out just enough for it to display onto the screen. But I've put in same thing, mobile TVs again, screens.
And I'm not real
recessed.
keen on the mobile TVs. I mean, it just, again, that kind of, I'm thinking of like, you know, technology as a cornerstone. And when I see them roll a TV cart in, I'm thinking of elementary school in 1992, like, where we would watch the shuttle launch on the big box TV in the library that they rolled out on a cart. So, I mean, let's make sure we're staying true to our roots in being in technology as a cornerstone.
Okay, I will put very big question marks on those as a last resort.
And I think they're important. So I think, not that we didn't want them, because I think they're important for like certain things and being able to have that. So like if you are having like a small meeting or something and having maybe in one of the rooms, but not as part of the standard suite of tools for like a CROA meeting.
Okay. Yep, that's understandable. Yeah, we can definitely do like a mobile conferencing unit that can that's a lot better designed than what we currently have. Some of the stuff looks a bit shameful, but yeah. So I do agree. Okay, So that we can do. We can definitely modernize those type of options and see where we can get. Now that Bill's on the board, we can probably ask him to cough up some more money.
You know,
Okay.
the only comment I would make on this is going back to when we installed what's there. All the constraints that we've just talked about with the windows and having the room be flexible, and that you could have different events, and so therefore you couldn't have something that would be permanently in the way. Those things are still in play. I mean, it's the layout here is pretty much the same as what it was.
Yeah, where are the windows on here?
Wherever you see the squarish, so like where it says 5, 6, that's your window area.
Okay.
5, 6, 7, 8, that's where your beams are, and then these little squares is where the windows are. And then up on this side as well, it's right. These are the windows, and then you have the doors as well.
So
Yeah, makes screens hard to see. Yeah.
along the bottom of the blue box, that's where the 3 windows are.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like there's windows on the side too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
This
a
area.
door back there. Yeah.
Yep.
So anyhow, when we made the decision to go with Teams, we also decided to have a turnkey solution with a Teams room. In my view, that was a big mistake. Both Teams rooms setups that we have, particularly the one that we no longer use in Stick, they were a problem from the beginning. In the room at 851 there, the main conference room, we had always an issue with the cameras. It's proprietary software, Teams rooms. Therefore, the cameras were not compatible with any off-the-shelf other software that would, like just using Teams itself. Anyway, and our vendor was Yealink for most of that equipment. The array microphones that we put in the ceiling, which we thought was a good idea, those are array mics, never really worked well. The sound was always bad. The video was never good. We had frequently one of the cameras didn't work. My point being that now we know a lot more, and there's absolutely no reason that we have to use a Teams room to have Teams. Mm-hmm. We can use off-the-shelf hardware for Teams. We can use any off-the-shelf computer, any off-the-shelf camera, and we can put our own system together. And I can guarantee it would be better than what we had. Now, the last thing that you have there at Heritage, Dominic, that's working better than anything that we've ever had, with the panning of the camera. Now that you have the microphones on the table, we can actually hear what people are saying. So it's better than it's been. But 851 was never good. I completely echo Krista's of, well, we did the best we thought we could, and it was bad. It was poor. So no Teams room. That's my point. I think you're smart enough that we can come up with our own video conferencing system once we get and using Teams or Zoom or whatever we want to use.
And I think the key too is to just flexibility. So like with the Teams rooms, it was really built for Teams. So right. You had to use Teams for that. And knowing that this is a flexible space, frankly, as long as you can plug in an HDMI cable and whatever you need for audio, like simpler is better from a user interface perspective. And we've built conference rooms, and no matter how simple it is, people are still going to screw it up. And you're still going to get calls, but the simpler it is, the better that works. Like when you try to build complicated systems, unless you're going to staff it all the time and make sure that you're the one who's doing and helping them do the things, it's going to be a challenge. So we can make it better for ourselves if it's simple. The other thing is, we think about, like, those windows are going to make it tough. Because it's windows all around. So if we're talking about screens or projectors, like just making sure that we're able to either cut the light out for what we need there, or adjust the lights properly.
Yeah, I mean, that's a thought. I mean, one of the things I was thinking, maybe motorized blackout cameras, blackout curtains. And when the screens go down, the curtains close. So that's where you can
Yeah.
see. And then, any event that doesn't need the screens, you keep this, there's no need to close the windows. You just enjoy the ambient light. That's a thought.
Yep.
That'll definitely fix the projector issue. And then obviously, you'll need something that will control the lighting as the projector turns on. The lighting should dim enough that people can see where they're walking, but the screens are better viewable. But also the projector, one of the projectors I bought for the Lifestyles for their movie nights, that's 4K. That thing pretty lights up with good daylight outside, and you can still see it. Except for when you have the lights right behind the screen, then you cannot see it. But yeah, during the day with the sun out, you were able to still see it. So
That's cool.
it'll work. But yeah, we'll definitely talk to the engineer about those options on trying to keep it simple. We'll follow the KISS method as best as possible.
Yeah. Bill, I have one other thought, but I wanted you to go too. Breck too.
Well, I was just going to say the audio without some person adjusting volumes is always going to be a pain. As we discovered during the candidate forum, I've never seen an automated system work nicely. And if you go back and watch our organizational meeting on Friday, we had a lot of feedback in that meeting that kept looping and circling. So somebody watching the soundboard is something that needs to be considered. I think the other thing I would say is, is there going to be any sound baffling in this room? I'm not talking about soundproof, but are there going to be things to absorb sound on the walls so it just doesn't bounce around and echo? Be something else to think about. And I'll bring it up from my seat, but just a thought.
Yeah, the background chatter. So I think, and one good thing, I think we've all watched CROA meetings. So like understanding what are the major annoyances for when you're someone sitting at home, like couple things, the crowd chatter, when they get going, you can't hear. One, you never know who's talking because the video is way over there. And so all you see are like tiny little heads and you have no idea who's actually speaking. I think those are probably the biggest annoyances for me when you're in the room. The sound kind of depends. Again, the crowd chatter gets to be problematic sometimes, but then the screen on the side, and it was small, and so either you have to sit up front or you're over there or you're logging into the meeting so that you can see the slides, because otherwise you're trying to Sandy just walked up to the TV on the last ones I was in, so she just stood up and walked over to the TV so she could see. So just making sure that those were for me, those were the big usability annoyances. I don't know if others attending those meetings have had other issues.
Yeah, I don't have anything specific other than just having the display materials always over to the side. So I've never really had, I guess, hearing problems there. Live in the meeting, I never really attended the virtual meeting a lot. I was usually always going in person. So I think the biggest thing for me is just having attention from display materials and watching who's on the board. Having to look at 2 different places all the time is a usability thing for someone attending a meeting. So. All right.
Okay.
So that, and do we want to conclude the conversation on the technology, the town hall?
Is there anything like display screens real quick before we go? Like any displays, any ways you want to, because the digital displays I'm using right now are called, the Unified Cast. And we can do videos and stuff like that we've been doing. And we're going to be working with Kanoa to do small ads, 5-second ads or something like that to, catch people's audience, attention real quick while they're walking around Lakeside or at the gym in Island Village, and then where else we're going to put displays. Because as we spoke last week about the notice boards that we have all around town that are time consuming to change and everything like that, we agreed that digital displays are a good option. I don't know if we had the chance to think about that during this month, to bring it up this month again, but I wanted to just remind anyone, and then we can bring it up with the committee next month to see if there's any other options other than the Unify tool. We were paying for something that was very expensive, and we still had to buy equipment to display those screens. Now with Unify, it's already paid for. You buy the equipment and you just set the machine off and off it goes. And you can group them and do whatever you need to show your ads, your videos, your presentations, and you can also do web display. Some of the displays aren't touchscreen, but there's no content that we need touchscreen on, but we have that option eventually if we want to go modernize ourselves. If somebody wants to see something at town hall, they can actually click on options and they can see, hey, what's the directory? What businesses are in the area? We can do that kind of stuff for them. We can do a website view that they can look at. There's those options. I have all those in my head. I just wanted to bring those out forward. If there's any other display systems that you guys looked at that might be even just as good, but free is free. So I don't know what else is a better option than that. The only thing we pay for is the equipment once. And it's a one-time equipment charge. So however,
I don't know a whole lot about the other vendors out there, but I've seen some of the Unify stuff, and I do like the fact that it, for the most part, those kind of features can just, like you said, once you buy the equipment, you can just plug them into the network. And for the most part, Unify is trying to write their software so that individual components are, uniquely addressable. So if you want to control, what's on what screen, that kind of system makes it easy from kind of a maintenance standpoint from either town hall or the board or whoever needs to kind of use it. So,
and now with the ability of centralizing it is actually a good option, because then we can actually control them all from one central point, not like before. And that brings it to the subject C.
So with the digital displays, 2 questions. One, did we follow up with Disney on what we're allowed to do and not allowed to do? And then the second question is with the updates of town hall, is that sign where they manually put the letters in, is that being redone or is that staying?
It's being redone. It's still up in the air if it's going to go digital or stay the same. I think we're waiting for information or a response back from Disney.
Okay.
On that. I will bring it back up to the forefront with those members and my team to find out what the answer will be.
If we make
And
that
I'll
digital,
email
that's
your
been
team
something we've been
directly.
working on. That's we've been trying to get for years, but Disney kept saying no. But now Disney has digital signs, so maybe it's easier.
what did Disney not allow us to do before?
Make that digital, like that's why it's set with that one outside of town hall where they put the numbers in, kind of like the old school like notice boards. We couldn't have it digital before.
It was too bright. There were possible thoughts of complaints of being it too bright. I think Bill said that if we can shut it down or dim it down at late nights, then I don't think.
Oh, like outside the building, like the
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. Yeah.
The one that
The
says
old
like 4th of
1950s,
July, something,
boards.
fireworks and whatever the time,
Yeah.
the one that some person goes out there and changes the letters individually.
Yep, our communication person does it every week.
Yeah. So I know we like when even when we had the communications advisory group, that was something that we recommended, but it all comes down to Disney and the rules and the guidelines that we have within, I guess, the celebration company that we have, and the things that we can do. And so that was one of them. But at the time, there were no digital signs. But now, over the last couple of years, obviously Disney has switched to digital signage for certain things. I could understand if they said you can do it, but there are specific guidelines. Like that would make sense.
I don't know if that was a specific complaint for Disney or if it was like a state law thing, because there used to be laws where you couldn't put like advertising billboards, like that sign on the arena. You know, like they had to like create new laws to allow those kind of advertising displays. So that might have been why we weren't allowed to do it.
Interesting. Yeah.
Okay.
I know which
And-
way I'll
The
vote.
road. So
Manual sign updates does not sound great.
Okay, so I know we did agree with that, so if you guys are okay with us going with Unify for the notice boards, at least, I will go out and start doing a building to building schematic check and see what we can do and where we can put a TV and stuff like that, put it into a quote, to
is that
a,
using
parts
the
quote?
display cast technology?
I'm sorry?
Is that using Unify's display cast technology?
Yes,
looking
we're
at
gonna
the-
use either the cast technology or, well, actually, yeah, it's probably cheaper that way, but using a TV and the cast unit.
Yeah.
Over using a small touchscreen board that they can, cost like $800 that they use.
Yeah.
But I think we could do a cast with a
It looks like
TV.
there's like a
Be a
little
lot
module
cheaper.
that you plug in the HDMI module into it. So
I'm sorry?
I'm looking at their specs on it, and it's like a little network module that you plug in the HDMI module or the cable into it. Yeah.
Yeah, you just plug it into the HDMI and then it connects wirelessly. And then if you get the Pro Edition, you'll get the options for YouTube media playing. It connects to the network, and so you'll get the network media playing. You'll get the YouTube, you'll get the website, and then you'll also get the presentation. So you'll get the three options for that. And then with their own digital display unit, you'll obviously get all three plus the touchscreen option to do more work, more things with it. I think that'd be cool maybe for town hall by resident services. Possibly have them sit there when a resident's going in there to look at something. They can check for information that they want to see about the town. We could probably build that up over time.
Are any of these going on the exterior of buildings?
Yes, for the amenity buildings, yeah, there'll be the notice boards will be outside. That's why we should do something like we did at Lakeside. But we don't need a big TV screen for the notice boards. We could probably either do two options where we have the big displays for the Big Crow information that we normally display. And then maybe for notice board, we'll do a smaller screen that will just have notices that need to be displayed and it'll just constantly rotate. And then we update them when needed.
An ARC is involved?
ARC at this point, not yet, because if it's only just putting a TV on the building where we were already doing things, no, but I will definitely ask that question if we have to do something different. Because I know we have to go for ARC for cameras at the dog park, because we might have to put new electrical lines to put cameras where there's no power at that point, at that moment. But for what we are looking at, no, I don't think we do, because I think we already have the outlets and everything we
It's
need.
not,
at
ARC
a couple
isn't,
of
ARC
buildings.
isn't involved in like the ARC isn't for the electrical. ARC is any like visual changes too.
Yeah.
So like the installation of a TV on the outside, I would assume would need an ARC sign off.
I think it was some of the buildings already have that. They already have the, I think, if it's
So just,
Spring
I
Lake.
don't need the details. Like it's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
more making sure that we check that box so it doesn't come back to bite us later.
Definitely. I'll make sure I'll put that in there.
I guess
For
does it
digital
matter if it's a
displays.
distinction between a new display versus an existing display?
I don't know. I have to get approval to paint my house the same color. So
You can paint up to 10 to 15% of your house as long as it's the same color.
yeah. So, and the same with a roof. You're going to put a new roof on that's the same color, you still have to get an approval. So I would, if I'm going to replace the ceiling fan on my porch, I have to get an approval. So I would just make sure that we're checking the right boxes so it doesn't come back to bite us later.
Okay, Krista, you got it. I will make sure we don't get that bite.
Yeah. I mean, we have to fill out a form to change our doorbell. So like, I mean, this is the level of things we're talking about. So
Not a problem. I will make sure we do that. Okay. And network infrastructure upgrades as this part of needed. So as we all know, the cameras and the current networks and all our amenities are all been separated with $5 network devices. And it's very cumbersome to troubleshoot and find things when we need to fix something. I've spent 2 days now trying to figure out where a camera is connected to because it's been cut somewhere and I can't find where it's been cut. and I can't tell what access point it's plugged into without trying to figure out where in the building that piece of device is, because not all the switches are put together. They're in different places where I still haven't found some. There, I can see them on the network. I just don't know where they are. So with that infrastructure upgrade, I was looking to, look at what we have currently there, and then just buying a replacement Unify switch that will go with the Unify console that we currently have there now, so that we can VLAN all the different equipment, separate them, lock them down, and have it in one place for me to see. And it'll be easier to administer from the IT perspective. And with all that, and that comes with trying to centralize and bring our networks together. We have, I've been slowly but surely migrating all the sites to Unify that already have Unify there, but they're not configured properly. So I've been going into them and putting them all together into a VPN infrastructure. So now we have a proper WAN between 5 buildings, and I have another 6 more to go. But slowly but surely, I've been migrating them, and things are easier to see, easier to work with, and I'm looking for help on getting the funding to upgrade the rest of the building so that I can get everything standardized and upgraded to the proper software, because a lot hardware. A lot of this stuff is on Netgear unmanaged switches, and they're separated by multiple switches to keep these cameras, access points, and or devices that we're using for the corporate side. It's just been painful to try to figure out what breaks, when it breaks, because you can't see both networks at the same time without actually physically being at the building. So it does take up a lot of our time. So I would like to see if that's something you guys agree with, so that I can go out and start looking into pricing it and bring it to your attention on what it'll cost, because it'll be done by me and my IT guy. It won't be outsourced. And it can be done with Tom, Andrew, and or Bill's help as well.
You're on mute.
I'm 100% in agreement about getting rid of the Netgear and the unmanaged switches and rationalizing it. It's a mess. I thought Island Village, I mean, we're talking about old technology. Island Village is new. That's a mess over there, that arrangement. You look at that, it's like you said, it's nested switches, and Heritage, same thing. There's switches driving other switches. And I think we go to Crow, and if we need additional funding, and we don't need to have multiple switches talking to additional switches. There should just be a bigger switch,
Right.
and everything should be managed. So I know Bill can weigh in on this, but I'm 100% with you. But it would come with a string attached. That is, you have to document this stuff. This network is poorly documented, and Bill can tell you I'm really big on documentation. If you disappear, the next guy should know exactly what we have. It should all be written down. There should be graphical documentation that describes what
We have
goes to
drawings,
what.
yeah. Everything I've changed,
we
I've done drawings.
That's
And
one of
we
the
need it
nice
all-
things about switching to Unify too, is that their software actually documents a lot,
Yeah.
or not, maybe not documents it literally, but the interface, you can visually see things. So.
Yeah, no, I'm 100% on board with this. Yes.
Thank you, guys.
I don't know if we
Same
And
need-
here.
you're
Right,
and you're
you should-
working with them on the new building too to make sure we're doing that right from the start, right?
Yes, I've
Okay.
already spoke with the low voltage engineer on that, and I marked out all the ports where I want them to keep them logically where they need to be placed, because some people don't place them logically. So I've placed all the outlets that we look where we need them, and I've placed cameras where we need them. I've placed WAPs with the heat source. I've done all the mapping on that, and I put the access points in the proper places. With Unify's new access points, they reach more square footage without the need. So we don't have to put as many access points, but obviously because of the building structure, we'll still need to put maybe one or two additional compared to, well, not one or two. We'll have to put one or two less than we had to before to cover the access range that we need. And he has going to give us structured cabling, properly done rack, so that we can rack everything nice and neat. I'm one of those guys that likes to see patch panel, switch, patch panel, switch, patch panel, and everything just loops nice and pretty. So yes, they have done, they're going to do that for us, and they're also going to give us the Unify, because I told them we're already on Unify Network, so I'm going to keep us, standardized. We're going to just stay with Unify and make sure it's properly locked down, and we're going to try to move to Unify's new cybersecurity partner that they have, that they'll give us more signatures to look at on our firewall, so that'll protect us better. And with that, that'll also help with the centralization of all our networks, where we'll have a better view and monitoring and maintenance, cutting the cost of running around trying to find what's broken and what's not. And that's it for me. Any questions or anything else you guys would like to talk about on the infrastructure upgrades or replacements?
I think I'm in agreement with Tom. I think Unify is a great choice. So I'm excited about what we can do with that. So
Okay, great, thank you. Back to you, Mr. Breck.
all right. So let's move on to the next topic then. Gallagher final phase actions. I guess we need to update on the training status.
Yep. So that's pretty much my question to the people who have received their training emails. Have you done them?
Who wants to go first? I've completed the training module for the user training and passed the test.
Okay. Did you do the admin one
I'm
too?
done. I have not done the admin one yet.
Oh, okay.
It's a time-consuming process, but I plan to within the next couple of weeks. We have 80 days, as I recalled, from the time the email came out. So I'm underway. I'll just say that I've completed one module. I should say one training session entirely.
Okay.
All 11 modules or whatever it was.
Yeah, the sooner we can finish as a team, the sooner we can get the on-site training as well. So that's just a reminder.
Was there an email that went
Okay.
out on this? Because I'm not.
It went to only the guys that use the administration portion of
okay.
Gallagher. Sorry, it was just the comment was for Bill, Andrew, and Tom.
And is Andrew
We were-
still an? Andrew probably shouldn't be an admin anymore.
Not that Andrew.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Sorry, Andrew Cook.
Yeah.
Yeah, I probably am not going to take it
Okay.
now because I've got way more hats to wear.
You
But-
got it.
Yeah.
That's understandable.
But you
I'm
can
okay
take
with that.
somebody can take my seat and
Yeah,
you can,
Dominic, you can put me out if you can send me the notifications. I was just looking through my email. I don't have anything specifically
Yeah, you
regarding
weren't
Gallagher,
added to
so-
as the part of the admin, but
Sure.
if you would like to take Bill's seat,
Yeah, that's fine.
okay, I will ask them to switch you in his place.
And then just, I guess, make sure that notification goes to my town hall account. So
You got it. Okay. The digital credentials, I've brought it up to I was asked that it had to go through approval to get more members to go on the next phase for testers. So I've put that through. Didn't make it to this month's board meeting, but it's going to be in the next one. So they said that it's best that we have the new board members do it instead of having it go out to the previous board members for less than a month and then have to do this all over again. So we will, the new board will weigh in on it and let us know who they want to test it. Bill, you're already testing it, so you'll be exempt.
what recommendations does the tech committee have to the board for testers so I can bring that up?
I guess I gave them the information to say, okay, this is what you need to do. You need to just test it, and this will help us weigh in more on what other issues might be, found by non-techie users, so that we can see how it goes by anyone who's not a techie and uses the phone as a phone instead of a
Yeah.
that's the one.
Tom, what was your understanding of the next level? I thought it was going to be other committee members.
Yep.
Other CROA committees were going to be open up to the beta,
Well, I
and if that went well.
I thought going back quite some time now, we've been asking every committee member and every board member to put this app on their phone so that we could get this data. I'm of the mind to say, let's release it to a specific area of town, if you will, or the next 100 people who sign up, and make that a beta test group just to get this thing moving.
Yeah,
Start
you
getting
guys
some
are, I
feedback.
mean, Bill can bring that up as the alternative requirement.
Yeah, I
It's,
thought where we were going was other committees.
yeah, it was other committees and
Was the- was
but
the-
they had to be
was the
brought up to the
next.
board to get that approval.
Gotcha. Okay.
Well,
So we
that-
didn't go
did
already
that-
go to other committees? I thought we did that already.
I don't think we have.
Okay.
I don't think we settled the licensing issue until just recently, right, Tom?
Yeah, I got the lease, the extra 20 licenses, mid-January, end of Feb. sorry, end of January.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay, so you have 20 more licenses. Is that what
Yep.
I just heard?
Yeah, 20
And
more people to use
were-
it then.
Were they free or did we have to pay for them?
We paid for 'em. It wasn't much.
Okay. I think the board at some point, we said one of the next steps was we need to go to the board. Now you gave us a pricing for the quantity of 5,000.
8,000. It was a quantity of 8. Yeah.
8,000. Okay. 8,000. We need to go whenever we go to the board and ask more people to use it and give them a heads up. This is what we think this cost is going to be so that we can decide whether or not the user is
Yeah,
going to pay for it. Or who's paying for this?
Yeah. With the I guess the cover sheet, as you call it, has that information in there saying how much it's going to cost to buy the original comment that the board had from before I started. I put that information into the cover letter to be brought up to the board saying, here, this is the reason why we want the testers. This is how much it's going to cost if we decide to go forward. So this way they understand we can do it. And at the end of the day, even if we decide not to go forward, or if we want to go forward, we can go in phases and do only 1,000 people at a time. So you're not spending all that money up front. So we can do it as the requests come in for it. So it's not like we need to buy them today, but obviously if we buy all of them today or in one day, you're going to get a cost savings. You're going to get a discount, obviously. But for us, if we're only, if only 1,000 people a year decide to switch to the digital, it doesn't make sense for us to buy all 8,000 today. And then the next 5 years, we haven't transferred everybody over to digital. So as an option, that was what we said. It's like, hey, we can buy small and then switch people as they want it.
At the annual meeting, we had to show an ID to get in. What do we show them, the Gallagher app to get in? I mean, how's that going to work? Have we figured that out yet? If we go to exclusively a digital card for some people and not a physical card, is the town hall crew ready to validate digital cards at events? I smiled when I saw that as I walked into the meeting that night. I'm like, do I show them my Gallagher app or do I show them my card? I did. I thought about it.
Yeah, I thought about that as well. Just as you were thinking about that, I thought about that about a week ago, saying, oh, wait, how do we do that? And we can do digital, local readers that we can hold in our hands, and you'll just bring your digital app, the Gallagher app, you swipe it against the reader, and if Buzz is right, you're allowed in. If it doesn't, don't. So, but the thing is, we don't have pictures in all our IDs, so it might be a requirement that you still need to have a card. But that's something we can look into and see how we would change that. That is something that I don't think anyone has thought about that.
That sounds like it would set the Facebook community on fire if we were denying people access to important meetings just based on the application. So we read carefully.
Yeah, I mean that's why we have the cards, I guess, at this point still.
Well, are we never going to associate the photo any longer with the person's ID like we previously had? Is that a permanent direction now?
I didn't know about if there was an ID supposedly.
Well, no. In the old system, there was a photo that went with your name, and they took a picture. Okay, in the new system, we didn't import that JPEG or whatever it is. As far as if we did, I haven't seen it anywhere in the database.
No, it's not in there. It's now in a product called Cloud Badging. So all those badges are now printed through that app instead of using the old
Okay,
key scan app.
but with respect to the Gallagher app and the Gallagher software, are we never going to import those photos and associate them with the names ever?
I can look into it. Didn't know if that was a plan, but if
Well,
that's,
yes, it was the plan because one of the selling features was the fact that we could have two-factor authentication in Gallagher. Now, this wouldn't prevent that. We could still, the person has their phone and the person could, look. But as you just pointed out, one of the things that we thought about was at events like at the fields where you have really thousands of people that show up and they walk through a tent, that these people could just stream through, and as they went by, a person with a reader plugged into their either Lightning or USB-C port on their phone, their images would be flashing by, and we could authenticate that, yeah, this guy is authorized and it's who he says he is. So that was all part of the plan. Now, I'm not saying it has to be that way. I'm just saying that was the intent. So it just seems like it would be a good idea to have a photo associated with the user.
okay, that is, yeah, I'll put that in my notes, and I'll take a look. See how
So in a
easy
case
it
like
is to import it.
Bill, in a case like that, Bill, we go and get this reader piece of hardware that's associated with Gallagher, that Gallagher must tell us where to get. And we have a town hall staff person standing there at the door. And as you walk by, you won't even have to take the phone out of your pocket. You don't have to swipe it. We can set it for 20 feet, whatever distance we want. So we could authenticate them as they walk past.
If people don't use the app, do they swipe their card, or they just
Yeah,
flash?
they would
their
have to
card?
swipe their
Well,
card, yeah.
Yeah, because we're not going to require, I don't think it was ever the intention of requiring every person to use the app, but for those people who have it, I think, but what Bill was pointing out, that some people, like perhaps you and Bill and myself, we don't carry our badge anymore. We only carry our phone. So if I went to the town hall meeting, I would have been in trouble. Of course, I was online and nobody stopped me. Luckily, Dom let me in, but I wouldn't have been able to get in because I don't ever carry my physical ID. And I don't think as a technology town, we should have to carry a physical ID, a piece of plastic around with you. For people who want to, fine, but we should make it necessary.
No, you're right.
So the next
Dom,
step
that
is
might
to
be
move to the board, right? Or to move to the committees, right? Bill's going to take it to the board to get it approved to go to the other committees. Is that next step?
Yeah,
Yeah,
so there should be when you get the board packet, Bill, you should probably see a cover sheet for the Gallagher credentials.
I can even bring it up tomorrow night at the workshop.
And then after
Can
that,
we
what's the plan for residents? Like, would we target a specifics? Like, I would look for people who are actually using, like, because there's a lot of people who never use a card reader. So you're really going to be focusing on the people who use the fitness center, people who use pools, artisan park residents. I mean, so I would focus whatever we do for next. You want to target the people who actually use like who use card readers, because there's a lot of people who never use card readers.
Yeah, I mean, we had a resident come in, last week, or was it this week? And the card was deactivated. Well, actually, it was imported deactivated into the new system. So we've had the new system, a year and a half, and they were already deactivated 5 years before. So yeah, they haven't used in 6 years, 7 years. So yeah, there's a lot of people out there that never use it because they don't use the other amenities. Okay.
All right. Do we want to move on to community comments? All right. Nobody has any comments. All right. So let's move on to action items. Camera audit is nearly complete. What's the update on that?
Remember the last meeting we had was do an audit of all the cameras. So I'm doing that audit, and I'm also going to give that audit to Access as well. I did speak with an Access representative last week, and he's going to tell us about what cameras are too old that should be replaced, what cameras to replace with what purposes that we want them for. So we kind of get an idea of what the project going forward would be to replace these cameras that have gone bad, that are too old for support, and what has gone out of support, so that we can make sure we get cameras in place that are supported. The server replacement project is being scoped out. Thanks for your support on that. It was brought up with the board, and they are in agreement. So I will get that scoping out, and so you can see what it will cost. I'm going to try to make it as cheap as possible with enough resilience that it won't, if something were to break, nothing will be felt.
Is this a hardware replacement we're talking about, or a software update?
Hardware? Because the servers that we have are 12 or 13 years old. So
Okay.
they're pretty much on their last legs, and thankfully they're still working. So
Are we using these for like staff file sharing, or is this hosting
yeah,
applications?
this is all records of celebration records from 1994 all the way till today. And records that, and obviously staff data that we need to share. And that's it. So I put in the training status twice so we can skip that section.
All right. Can I get a second to adjourn the meeting, or a motion to
Brett.
adjourn the meeting?
Breck, I was trying to figure out how to reach you, and I'm at a loss because I can't find any way that I can get in contact with you. I wanted to ask you some questions. How do I do that? Can you?
I'm going to give you everyone my number here.
It's being recorded, just so you know.
Yeah. I'll have to cut that out. Adjourn it first, so then I can cut it afterwards.
Oh, you just put it in chat. That's fine.
Adjourned. I moved to adjourn.
All
A
right.
second.
All right. Meeting is adjourned.
Okay, I will now, hold on. Okay. Done.